Beer, robots, McDonald's, contact lenses, The Simpsons, pencils, football penalties, or even the Volkswagen Beetle. All of these things have two things in common. First, it is very difficult to imagine our world without them, and nearly everybody knows them, right? And second, they are all somehow connected to one European nation that significantly shaped the way they look today. The nation in question is the Czech nation, and its home is the Czech Republic, which by the way is also my home. And in this video we're gonna look closer at how this country and its people changed the world. And let's start with this. This is a robot. A wooden toy of a robot, but a robot. And I don't know if you just noticed that while I'm at least trying to speak in English, I just said 3 times an originally Czech word. Robot. Yeah, while the Czech language is spoken by about only 10 to 11 million people, there are some globally used words with Czech origin, and robot or robot is the most famous one of them. And that's actually because this word first appeared in this 1920 science fiction play by the very famous Czech writer and playwright Karel Čapek. R-U-R. Rossum's Universal Robots. In this play, the word is not actually used to describe a mechanical device, but rather these artificial workers from some sort of synthetic biological matter, which play a sort of apocalyptic role in this play. But I'm not gonna spoil it to you, as I think you should definitely read it or watch it yourself. It's definitely one of the best ways to get into Czech literature. Nevertheless, Čapek's Rossum's Universal Robots was instantly a sensation and soon was popular all over the world, especially in the UK, where even in 1938 the BBC aired it, and apparently it was the first ever time that science fiction appeared on television. And it was exactly this global success of Čapek's play that eventually made the word robot replace previous words such as automaton or android to become the main word used to describe these task-performing artificial machines that are a big part of our world today. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to point out. While Karel Čapek was the author, or is the author of this play, he actually was not the one who came up with the word robot, as he instead wanted to use the word labor. But his brother, Josef Čapek, a famous painter, did not like it and suggested instead that word robot, or in Czech robot, which stemmed from the Czech word robota, used for forced labor or unpaid labor during the feudal times. So yeah, robot is one of those really globally used words, but to be fair, I would argue that the most globally used words are not really words, but rather names, such as Ronaldo, Coca-Cola, or of course, McDonald's, right? Speaking of McDonald's, that's another thing that Czechs somehow significantly shaped. You probably might know that the first McDonald's was founded by McDonald brothers in 1940, but when it comes to the rapid and global expansion of this fast food chain, the main man behind it was the businessman Ray Kroc, who became their franchise agent in 1954 and eventually bought out the company from the brothers in 1961 for about $2.7 million. I don't want to get too much in depth about how he managed to make McDonald's the global brand and company that it is today, but the important thing for us is that Ray Kroc was actually the son of a Czech immigrant, Alois Kroc, who was born in Stupno near the Czech city of Pilsen. So technically, Ray Kroc, the main man behind McDonald's global success and expansion, was a Czech American. And Czech Americans are this special community of Americans with Czech origins and roots, mostly from Czech immigrants, and even in this community we can find several more impactful people, such as Eugene Cernan, the last man on the moon, Madeleine Albright, the former US Secretary of State, Miloš Forman, the Oscar-winning film director, such as of the movies Amadeus or Fly Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or even the actor Ashton Kutcher. And I can't forget Emil Kosa Jr., who was not really a famous person, but he was pretty damn impactful, and I think all of you know his creation. Emil Kosa Jr. was a son of a Czech painter and later became one of the first people in the special effects department of the newly created 20th Century Studios. You know, the studio with this famous intro, which is closely connected with the movies like Star Wars, Ice Age, or even TV show like The Simpsons. And the fun fact is that Emil Kosa was actually the one that created this very famous logo and intro, and even an unforgettable check mark in Hollywood. Plus, he also later won Oscar for special effects in the movie Cleopatra, but that's another story. So those are some of the examples of impactful Czech Americans, but obviously many more famous Czech personalities changed the world directly from the Czech lands. The most notable one of them is probably the inventor and scientist Otto Wichterle. He was so impactful that many of you might be using one of his inventions right now. That's because Wichterle is widely known as the inventor of the soft contact lenses, which currently improve the vision of more than 100 million people worldwide. Wichterle actually worked on this invention throughout the 1950s in Czechoslovakia, and in 1961 he constructed the first ever efficient prototype of a contact lens making machine, and he built parts of it from his son's Merkur construction set. Cool. So soft contact lenses are one of the many originally Czech inventions. Others include the sugar cubes, Polarograph or Semtex, which is one of the most globally used plastic explosives. But one famous Czech company also reinvented, or I would say shaped, one very widely used thing: a pencil. When I ask you what color do pencils usually have, many of you would probably say that it's yellow, right? Because yellow is symbolic for pencils. But do you know which pencil actually was the first yellow pencil that inspired it all? It was this one, the legendary Koinor 1500, made by the famous Czech stationery manufacturer Koinor Hartmut from České Budějovice. This pencil, which was introduced towards the end of the 19th century, used quality graphite from China. And since in China yellow symbolized luxury and royalty, the Czech manufacturer decided to make this pencil yellow and make it a symbol of prestige and premium quality. That's why this pencil was also named Koinor after the famous diamond, and this marketing move worked really well, and soon Koinor 1500 became a globally popular and sought-after pencil, which also inspired other manufacturers to make their pencils yellow. So yeah, even Czech companies managed to change the world, and I don't even mention the global shoe manufacturer Baťa, or the even currently very popular 3D printing company Prusa Research, or the Avast antivirus software. But if I had to pinpoint some area where Czechs really impacted the world, it was in car manufacturing. I mean, the Czech brands Škoda or Tatra are still considered as one of the oldest in the world, and their beautiful and revolutionary models shaped the way cars looked, behaved, and how they were constructed. But I would actually like to focus on one lesser known story, and that's how the Czech brand Tatra kinda inspired the creation of one of the most famous cars of all time, the Volkswagen Beetle. Volkswagen Beetle was first created in 1938 as the people's car and was partially the result of Hitler's vision to have a car for every citizen of the Third Reich and the work of its initial constructor, Ferdinand Porsche. Nevertheless, right after Beetle was introduced, people in Tatra saw way too many similarities to their previous model Tatra 97, not only visually, but also technologically. They even took matters to court, but before any decision was made, the ruling was stopped by the German invasion of Czechoslovakia and the following occupation, under which the production of Tatra 97 was basically forcefully ended. But after the war, the court process reopened, and Volkswagen actually had to pay a 3 million mark fine to Tatra for kinda copying their cars. Nevertheless, the damage was done, and while the Beetle is now one of the most famous models of all time, not many know about the beautiful Tatra 97. It's a shame, because Tatra cars used to be really something incredible. Oh, and when I'm mentioning brands, I can't forget the beer, the famous Czech beer. Not only that it's really good, we drink the most of it in the world, but also Czech beer kinda changed the way beer looks today. And that's because currently the most popular, or one of the most popular types of beers, is the Pilsner. If you like beer, you probably know and already had a Pilsner beer. They are everywhere. I mean, Heineken is a Pilsner, Stella Artois is a Pilsner, and many other. But this type of beer actually originates from the Czech lands, as it was first produced in 1842 in the Czech city of Pilsen by the city brewery, later known as Pilsner Urquell, which is now probably the most famous Czech beer brand. And this beer was a unique pale lager, which was created by combining the local ingredients and local water, but was so good that others in the world wanted to make it too, and eventually it became a type of a beer known as Pilsner. So as you can see, Czechs really changed the world in many areas, but I'm missing something that I said in the beginning. Oh yeah, penalties, football penalties. Czechs also shaped them. Specifically, they introduced the panenka, which is one of the most famous penalty kicks of all time, famously used by Messi, Zinedine Zidane, Pirlo, or infamously used by Brahim Diaz in the 2026 AFCON final. Panenka is a great penalty when it works, but can be pretty embarrassing when it doesn't. But do you actually know what's the origin of this penalty? Well, the origin is in its name, because the player who introduced this penalty to the world was the Czechoslovak midfielder Antonín Panenka, who made this incredible kick in the penalty shootout in the 1976 European Championship final. And actually, his penalty kick was the one that made Czechoslovakia win its first ever European Championship and introduced Panenka penalty to the world. Of course, we could talk more about some Czech and Czechoslovak sporting successes, and there are many good examples of personalities and records, but I think what I presented in this video so far should be enough for all of us to realize that the Czech nation really did change the world, and it makes me incredibly proud to be Czech. However, I have to admit one thing, and that's that the intention of this video is not to glorify my nation and make it look like it's the most important one in the world. Instead, I wanted to show how even smaller nations and smaller countries can significantly impact the world in many often unexpected ways. Because usually when we talk about impactful countries, we mention the US, UK, China, Russia, but actually every country and every nation in the world somehow changed and impacted the way we live on this planet. And the truth is that every group of people and every place on our planet is important and should never be disregarded as irrelevant, as everything and everyone can change the world. And I know that in this regard, the Czech Republic might not be the best example, as it is not the smallest of countries, and historically it was actually part of some pretty powerful empires. But even for that, I still come across people in my country saying that we are small and irrelevant, which is simply not the truth. It is not the truth for any place and any person in this world. Every place matters and everyone matters. And every single one of you can change the world, no matter where you're from. And I think that's a pretty good quote to end this video on. If you wanted to know more about my nation and my country, you can subscribe on this channel. It's pretty new and I got a lot more interesting topics to talk about. So yeah, see you in the next one. Bye bye.